Happy Tuesday and welcome to the Wolff Den, sponsored by Win Again Academy. And in the club room, Mark Moyer doing some great things with his networking events today at 4 p.m. Eastern. Brandy Chastain will be there. So check out Win Again Academy and in the club room. Going to be a great event today. I'm really excited for our show today. We have JD Eicher, singer-songwriter, to the show. Welcome, JD.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited too. Appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, so a little bit of background here. I met JD on the Rock Boat. He is a performer and met him on the Rock Boat, and I've been on a bunch of them. But tell everybody, who you are, where you're from, and just a little bit more about you, and then we'll get into all the music.
Cool. Yeah. Musician, singer-songwriter, dude out of Youngstown, Ohio, Northeast Ohio. We're not necessarily known to be a music town, but that's where I grew up and ended up kind of staying in that neck of the woods. I write songs and perform live either by myself or I have a band as well, and kind of tour all over the place in a normal, non-COVID year. In this year, I've learned that even though the job of singer-songwriter, independent musician is a hustle, that it's really a hustle when you can't tour. So I'm kind of figuring all that out as I go, but it's been good.
Yeah. So how did you get into music? I mean, again, you said Ohio, not a hotbed for musicians. How did you even get into music? How old were you? How did it happen? We got some of the JD fan club showing up today.
Sweet. Hey, Jeff, thanks for being in here. Appreciate it. How'd I get started? So I got rolling with, I guess originally, I didn't really plan to be a musician. I just, I enjoyed music and whatnot, like anybody. And I was going to go to college for like a business administration degree and just kind of pursue something in the business world, and a more traditional 9-to-5 maybe. But I had learned how to play guitar along the way. Maybe I started when I was 12, 13, but I never really tried to write songs or anything. And then right before college, I started to sing and play at the same time. And it was like a revelation to me. And I know it sounds dumb, but I never even tried. I just always liked playing guitar for guitar's sake, and that was fine. And then one day I was like, well, I wonder if I could sing something. So I started to strum. And as soon as I kind of it takes a minute, you got to really kind of coordinate those two processes, Once I learned how to do it and kind of felt confident that I could do it, I went down this obsessive wormhole of writing songs and learning and performing cover songs and stuff like that, and it went from a hobby that I enjoyed to this total escape, and I just found myself it was almost like my own kind of therapy to write a song. And so into college, I just found myself spending more and more time focusing on songwriting when I probably should have been focusing on my studies. Or I'd have a class at 9 a.m. and then at 10:30, 11 a.m. I'd rush back to my room so I could practice guitar for 2 hours before the next one, and that kind of stuff. And it just became more and more of the picture. And eventually I proposed a different kind of major to my school. So I said, hey, could we do a business, a music business degree, where I would kind of mix music, like a music minor into a business degree, so that I could kind of figure out how to make a job out of this. And much to the, I terrify my parents and everyone around me, myself included, but that's kind of where I ended up, as I came out of school and just tried to kind of get going with this and booking coffee houses and writing songs in my parents' basement.
This hobby didn't start until you were 16. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah. So, I was playing guitar, since I was 12 or 13, but yeah, I didn't really start to write songs. I might have been 18 when I started to write, 17, 18 when I wrote my first song. And then into college, maybe 18, 19 was when I really started to kind of went down the.
But even not singing until you were later in life, almost.
Yeah, right? No, I was in choir, I think that would have been middle school, I guess. I was in choir. And I liked singing, but I certainly wasn't a singer, and wasn't thinking of myself as a singer in any formal way. So I think probably 17, 18 is when I started to play and sing. And singing is such a thing. Usually artists who are really established and well known started singing when they began playing guitar at age 3, and they were singing at an opera master level at age 6 or something like that. So it took a long time. I feel like I'm still figuring out how to like get clarity in my voice and things like that, because it's just, I'm way behind the curve. But
I mean, that's all technicals. That's all technical stuff from someone who like wants to be a perfectionist. But generally speaking, people are singing. I mean, you look at all the shows today, they're singing when they're 8 years old, 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You have such a distinct voice, and I think all your fans will tell you that, and everyone's going to hear it because you're going to sing us some stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised that from a choir perspective, no one came and said, hey, this guy's got something here. Maybe we should look into it. That seems a little shocking to me, but it's great to be able to figure out, at that point, that's late in the game, right? That's like a tennis player is late in the game.
It is. You know what? I should say, I had a choir teacher, Miss Summers, and I've run into her. I ran into her at a Panera like maybe a year ago or something like that. But I will say that she was very like supportive and encouraging, and did say, I think at the time I had a pretty big range for the age for my age or whatever, and she did like say, kind of try to encourage me. But it really just, I think it didn't make sense to me to be a singer unless like this is cheesy to say, but I didn't want to be a singer unless I had something to sing, you know what I mean? And so I think like later in life, maybe I had more to say, or I finally could kind of communicate what I wanted to say. So then to sing it made more, it was like something had to click differently. But
yeah, it's funny. It's funny you say that, because we're going to go on a ton of tangents in there, but I told you this when we were talking before about, my hair, that I had like a bunch of different styles. I can show you like 10 different pictures of me where I look like 10 different people. Did the choir teacher recognize you? Because I was in a store like Panera, and my best friend growing up, his mom was there, and I'm like, hey, and she didn't recognize me at all.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. No, she did recognize me. She did, but I think we follow each other on one of the social networks, so that we had a little help in that process. But now I know what you mean. Yeah, like I definitely don't look like, I was such a little pipsqueak at that era. Like I was just like thin child would have been like how you describe me, just like So yeah,
we'll get this out of the way because you've talked about it. I told everyone when I first saw you that this guy looks like Hugh Jackman, and you get that all the time, I'm sure, especially when you got the sideburns and the chops. Certainly, it's a great person to be compared to. I don't want to say.
I'll take it.
I don't want to say who I've been compared to. It's the NFL quarterback, and it's not.
Oh man, yeah, okay.
That's
a compliment. I mean, the guy's a legend,
Yeah,
like him or not,
And we got some people from JDTV and your Patreon followers, which we're gonna say hi to, and
man, I just let me know in the comments over here. This is sweet.
Yeah, Shannon and David, some great comments here. Dan and all here. I met everyone here, as part of JDTV, and you had a wild episode last night. You got a haircut live on TV. I said I could use one here on the Wolff Den. But talk about JDTV and a little bit about your Patreon, because that's, without touring, that's kind of, what you're doing now and where you're putting a lot of your efforts into. So tell everyone what JDTV is and how they can get in on it.
Yeah, no, thanks for the opportunity to advertise here. Well, so kind of unrelated to COVID and everything, I started to live stream every Monday at the mid-January of 2020, not knowing that was going to turn out to be my main gig. But I just wanted a way to be like more consistently in the community of everybody, and playing new songs and kind of just being goofy. And I love doing like kind of just comedic bits. Half of them I'm sure flop, but I still enjoy it, like just being a weirdo. And so I thought like this could be a fun way. I would take it way too seriously, brand it as a TV show, talk about like having like showrunners and like a writing team and everything, and just kind of make it a goofy thing. So I started doing that, and then when the pandemic hit, it ended up being like basically the lifeblood of what would keep me going through the pandemic as a musician. And what was cool was, as more people turned to live streaming, it did kind of become a little community of folks, and I'm really grateful for them. And I ended up, a lot of it was, tipping like Venmo, PayPal, as it was for most musicians. And then at some point I transferred over to Patreon, which is a little bit, my thought was it would be easier on the fans who are tipping regularly, because it's $3 a month for JDTV. So $3 a month, less than $1 an episode. But the idea of Patreon is it's like micropayments. So everybody who can and is willing, commits to a couple bucks a month. You can certainly do more than that. But and the idea is, like, if there are enough micropayments, it's a big enough payment for the one artist to cover part of the mortgage, or some of the bills, and keep you afloat. And it has saved my butt. And I ran some numbers recently, and I don't know what I'd be doing otherwise, if I'd have a side job, or if I'd be having some other hustle other than Patreon. But I can tell you right now, I would not be clipping along as a full-time musician right now were it not for Patreon and those people support me. So it is a game changer. And I was hesitant about it at first, because it's weird. You're kind of like asking everyone to subscribe to you like Netflix, but it was. I'm really grateful for it.
It's Ticket Time Machine is a Patreon subscriber for JD, and Patreon, it's been around for a while, and it started out, I believe, as mostly musicians, but now it's almost like an OnlyFans type thing. And there's Deb, worth every penny. I agree.
Thank you.
There's a lot of content for, you got the JDTV, and he's always sending, information and little videos, more of like a look into your life and kind of what's going on and behind the scenes, which is important to me, because I can get free music anywhere, right? Like whatever your stuff comes out, I can listen to anyone. You can check out JD on Spotify. You can listen to his music, but there's different content when you go to JDTV, and he lets you pick out a song, right? You have that kind of hangout event. You get to pick the songs that he's going to sing. So, different stuff than maybe you would see in a regular show on JDTV and the Patreon. And I've seen all kinds of organizations and companies having these Patreon accounts, and almost like OnlyFans. A lot of them, when I look at it, I'm just like, yeah, I don't know why someone would pay for that. Because of the content they're giving, not because of who it is. So glad to see that it's rocking. You're on season 5, right? Season 5 of JD.
That's a good example of how I like to make it more serious than it's just every 12 episodes. It's a new season. But it's fun to say that. I like to act like, there's a lot of pomp and circumstance. Maybe there's an inquiry from Disney Plus. Maybe there's an opportunity kind of down the road, but we say no because creative differences. Yeah. A lot of that kind of BS. Yeah.
I agree with you. It's good to be able to be yourself, and it's cheesy and dorky. There's no doubt about it, but I think that it does hit, and I think that people enjoy it. There's a lot of inside jokes that the people watching have, like people who aren't listening, like Patrick, and will he ever make an appearance? And there's always something going on with the audio and the video, but it always is.
I know, man. Actually, it seems like, am I clear to you?
Great here. Yeah.
What's that? It's clear?
It great. Yeah, my lighting is terrible. Brent, if he was listening in, would tell
Brent.
He comes on and says hi, but he's not a music guy, so I don't know if he's listening today. But maybe he'll listen to you, and he'll become a music guy. So let's let everyone hear a song. Let's play a song. Your choice, whatever you like, and let's let everyone hear. And
let me do. I tell you what, I'll do. Why don't we close on your request on your fave? Okay. That way I can kind of work myself up to it. Since I'm a little rusty on that one. But this is a song called "I Don't Want to Be Right." It's a little bit newer in the repertoire. I don't want to be alright. I don't want to feel like I've been drinking. You meet me on the other side. I've been here, you'll be fine. I don't want to say goodnight, but I don't want to be awake any longer. I open and close my eyes, and with you, it's the same. Heavenly lights, where did you go? I've been looking for you every night, now I'm alone in the dark. I don't wanna be lost, I don't wanna be old, I don't wanna be young, I wanna be just enough. Maybe I've got it wrong, but maybe I don't wanna be right. Everybody's got a clue. Everybody's got the answer for you. The head am I supposed to do with a head full of love? Maybe I'm not making sense, but I don't know the sense of trying to make it. I open and I close my eyes, and it's the same. Heavenly lights, where did you go? I've been looking for you. Every night, now I'm alone in the crowd. I don't wanna be lost, I don't wanna be found, I wanna be here now. I don't wanna be old, I don't wanna be young, I wanna be just enough. Maybe I've got it wrong, but maybe I don't wanna be right. Heavenly lights, where did you go? I've been looking for you. I've been looking for you. Oh, I don't wanna be lost, I don't wanna be found, I wanna be here now. I don't wanna be old, I don't wanna be young, I wanna be just enough. I don't wanna be lost, I don't wanna be found, I wanna be here now. Don't wanna be old, don't wanna be young, right now it's just enough. Maybe I've got it wrong, but maybe I don't wanna be right. Yeah, something like that.
That was great. That was great. Now we might get some exclamation points here. I know they do that on the show and on JDTV. If you like what you're hearing, you put some exclamation points in the comments so people know. It's funny. You're probably not on Clubhouse, the app, but
I'm not. I've heard about it though. Yeah.
When you want to clap, you like keep hitting the mute so it like kind of blinks and everyone's.
Oh, that's cool.
Clapping. So they're just trying to figure a way to show some appreciation. Great. Thanks for playing that. I think
thanks, man.
I think everyone enjoyed it. Let's talk a little bit about, being a musician, a singer-songwriter. Because not everyone, and maybe people don't know this, but not everyone writes the songs that they sing.
True. Yeah.
Some people don't write any of the songs that they sing and they just perform. So how did you, was there ever a point where you thought I should concentrate on one or the other, or was it always both?
Yeah. Hey, Nikki, thanks for watching. Maybe you should know. I think that could probably be done. Matt's running the show, but that's always a possibility.
Oh, more music is better, but
okay.
We'll get that.
To answer that, I think it was the writing that got me kind of down the path of doing this anyway. So, I think as we were talking, like being able to play and sing together, and then kind of learning how to do that, and then just kind of there's something about the fact that there's a lot of stuff that you can learn and then apply, but there's something about how like writing a song is a little bit out of reach, even for somebody who's allegedly a songwriter. Like I still don't quite understand the creative process behind it, and I think it's because of that it makes it so fascinating, and draws me into it. So I like the chase of a song, and I don't always get it, and I'm not always going to kill it, and I don't always know if I'm going to get another one. And there's something about that is maybe the risk or the danger in that is also what makes it so exciting. And so definitely it was the songwriting that brought me into it. And then, kind of learned the rest as I went along. And certainly the further back in my like recordings you go, the more evident it becomes that, he was still learning how to sing or that guitar is questionable, so I basically had to figure out the rest of it. Whereas I think a lot of musicians that we know of in like the mega stars, either had like the physiology to make them instantly a great singer, or they just had maybe some great training in their early years of music. And they had kind of the framework there, and they just needed that song or two that everyone was going to connect with through that person's gift, And so I've always felt like the opposite, and a little bashful about it too. Is I could write a song or wanted to be good at songwriting, and then had to figure out the rest to make it work.
Yeah, and again, that's to the naked eye. They're not going to understand that there was something imperfect about that song. So it's could be more about just like the performer being harsh on themselves, or wanting it to sound a different way. But also, there's songs that you think are bad and they become hits, right? And that's for everyone. You're like, I hate playing this song, but everyone wants to hear it.
There's so many bands that say that kind of thing. Yeah. Speaking of, like the rock boat world, you mentioned that's kind of how we met. I always thought Sister Hazel handled that question so well, because their song "All for You" it was a mega hit, and it's what they owe their initial kind of rocket to success to. Anyway, people will ask, are you sick of playing that song? And I just, Ken and Drew are always like, no, we love that song. Like that's what gave us everything. We love that song. So I always try to keep that in mind. That's definitely a good attitude. If people like something you did, you should be happy about that.
I get chills when I hear that live, that song. Oh, yeah. And there's not a lot of songs that get that for me. And I'm a big music guy, and it doesn't mean that the songs don't hit you, but the greatest song performance I ever heard was Tom Petty, "Learning to Fly." I'll send you the clip if you haven't seen it. The audience is just singing, and it's so loud, and they're singing for a long time. Yeah. And so that gets to me with "All for You," where the crowd is singing it because everyone knows it, and they love that one part, and they just stop, and you don't have to do anything but hear the crowd. Is a song like that you have that you think the crowd really enjoys singing to, or a song that you've been at an event that you've been at where you've heard that sticks out?
Well, the song you asked about, which is called "I'd Like to Get to Know You," I'll play that one later. I mean, I don't get to do the stadium thing, so
I know,
slightly different dynamic. But sticking on brand with this rock boat thing, rock boat vibe here. The first time I ever played the event, played the boat. I was new. I was a newcomer. I was a newcomer in all ways. I mean, I was kind of new to being a musician anyway, but new to the boat. And I started playing that song, and like people were singing it back at me right away. And that was one of the songs that the boat they had promoted. It was like when they announced me and stuff. So it made sense. But I didn't expect. And it's a very powerful thing. It's like one of those few. You're, as a performer, you're kind of supposed to be the one. You're supposed to entertain the crowd. You're supposed to try to kind of affect the audience and give them a good time. But if you're in the audience, the most powerful thing you could do, I think, to the singer or the band on stage is to sing those words back at them. That's like that kind of, I don't know. That's a very symbiotic thing, and it just kind of feeds on itself. So I've only been fortunate enough to really feel that in a large number of people kind of way a few times, but it's crazy when it happens.
Yeah, there's a lot of acts that I see live that I want them to do that, where they just stop because I know the crowd will do it, and there's a lot of times when they do it and the crowd just doesn't quite know it or sing it loud. You got to be careful when you do that. Marissa wants to know favorite song to play. I know.
That's a good question. That changes a lot, Marissa. That's a good one. I think most musicians, I'll put myself in this category. Usually the newer stuff is the most fun to play because it feels fresh. There's like a sweet spot once you know the song well enough to perform it in front of people you really want to. So like that last song I played, "I Don't Want to Be Right," it would be in that kind of like group of maybe 4 or 5 songs. Probably my favorite song to play, especially with the band, is "Evergreen," which is a song that I wrote for my parents. And there's just something about, it's not a real upbeat song. It's not like, it doesn't seem like the typical song you'd love to play live because it's more of a lyrics kind of song. But there's this groove that happens with the band, this like snare, kick drum thing, and that is just really nice to be part of a band playing, because everybody kind of like sits into it, and it just feels really nice to play. So it's maybe not the best reason, but I just love the feeling of that song with my band. It's really
what are the Good Nights doing? It's JD and the Good Nights. What are the Good Nights doing now, and are they going to be back with you when it starts to tour?
Yeah. So I used to be like and the Goodnights was everything, our websites and all that stuff. We kind of dropped the name and the Goodnights. Mostly, I like to joke for my ego, but also just for marketing reasons. It was like, no, I don't know of anyone who was willing to type in JD Eicher and thegoodnights.com. That's quite an ask. But so anyway, so we kind of dropped that, but it's for the most part the same guys. That's some of the same lineup. So they've been. Dylan, our drummer, he's a full-time musician. He teaches drumline, he has a private studio for drum lessons and percussion lessons. And he plays keyboards for a dance class. So he's been trying to keep busy and do a lot of like virtual lessons and stuff like that through COVID. Jim, he's a life coach. He's our bass player. He's a life coach in addition to being a bass player in our band. So they're lucky, and we're all kind of lucky in the band that we have a little bit of flexibility in our jobs, and we can keep the bills paid. Mark, our guitar player, is a singer-songwriter like me as well. So he's been doing a little bit of the online streaming stuff, and also, some gigging when it's safe and that kind of thing. But I've been trying like through Patreon to throw them some work here and there. So we've been doing this little instrumental project where we get together and we try to write like an instrumental jam and then record it properly in this room. So properly is a little bit of a stretch in this room, but try to record it. And then I'll mix and master it and all that stuff and put it out to our patrons. But I also use a portion of the Patreon budget to then throw them some cash. So there's like little things like that we're kind of trying to keep an ecosystem of support going. But mostly we're all just emailing and texting each other like, man, I wish we could be playing. Really miss this, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And part of it is that, your music lends itself to you just playing on your own, which not everyone can just do. It's not that easy. So I think, it's great that you can just really put on a good show for your fans and hopefully when you're touring, get the gang back together. We're going to talk a little bit more about COVID and how that has affected you and positive and negative. But let's give Nikki a little bit of maybe you should before she change.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for watching and for asking for that one, Nikki. Appreciate it. Yeah, this is called Maybe You Should Know. This is I'm a singer-songwriter, so most of my stuff falls into the sentimental, melodramatic category. But I would say that this is one of my sassier. This is part of the sassy collection of just a few songs where I allow myself to be a little bit more confrontational, if you will. You'll still be like, when you hear it, you'll be like, oh, this is still pretty soft. I'm fighting, I'm falling, every single time nothing's calming. You smell blood circle around me. Let me tell you, that's the thing that I need. I don't want to be living just to live a little longer. I don't want to be earning if it's just to fill the coffers. I don't want to be hasty. I don't want to be bothered by your weak intimidation. Maybe you should know. That the joke's on you. Maybe you should know. You're not the tried or the true. See, there's a timeline ticking on your cheek by the ears, and the limelight's waiting on your sex appeal. And while you spend love to make it, while you cheat, steal, and fake it, the long game's coming for you. Maybe you should know. Yeah. Maybe you should know. I settle on living lean and mean. I settle on cutting out my own holes to follow, yeah. You settle on fooling all the fools, I'm looping around the rules. The holes that you crawl through are hollow, well, the shame is in the pride you're flaunting. Nobody needs your shiny garbage. You're punching down on everyone. Well, it's time we stop punching on. Maybe you should know. The joke's on you. Maybe you should know. I'm not the tried or the true. See, there's a timeline ticking on your cheek by the ears, and the limelight's fading on your sex appeal. And while you spend love to make it, while you cheat, steal, and fake it, the long game's coming for you. Maybe you should know. Yeah. Maybe you should know. Yeah. on you. Maybe you should know. Oh, you're not the trial. There's a timeline ticking on your cheap ideas, and the limeline's fading on your sex appeal. How will you spend love to make it while you cheat, steal, and fake it? The long game's coming for you. Maybe you should know. Oh, oh, yeah, yeah. Maybe you should know. Oh, oh, yeah, yeah. It's called Maybe You Should Know.
That was great. That was great. Thanks for playing that. The Rock Boat, very tight knit family, especially with the artists. You've made some great friends from there, and some great collaboration, because you didn't know a lot of them or almost any of them when you first started, right?
Yeah, that's true. I maybe met a handful kind of leading into the boat, either on the way there or a couple gigs that were near where folks live, kind of after announcement of me being on the roster. But yeah, no, I met those folks all through as in connection to it anyway. Yeah.
Nikki says thanks. Yep, we like to please our JD and Ticket Time Machine always like to give fans what they want. That's our tagline. So that's how we roll. But through the Rock Boat family and some of these other artists, you've been involved in a lot of other good festival type events like Rock by the Sea and Texafied Jam Fest, which are primarily 6-man artists that are attending these events. Talk a little bit about those organizations, specifically Rock by the Sea, who's doing some good stuff for charity.
Yeah,
with Steve Everett and.
Yeah, well, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, the Rock Boat community, I really feel like they kind of take you under their wing when you're on the boat, and like if you're a new artist, a lot of the folks will kind of help show you the ropes and here's how this works or whatnot. And but it's such a good community that it's almost like it's not enough to just do the boat once a year. And so these other events have kind of basically just been born out of this community kind of wanting to get together, and it's almost like family reunions every time everybody gets together. And so Texafied Jam Fest is in Texas, and Leah and Todd Connor throw it, and it actually came from another 6-man Rock Boat promotion company event called SATS, or Sail Across the Sun, but a very, very similar community that kind of intermingles. And so they started Texafied, and another event that has been going on for a long time, many, many years now. I don't know what year they're on actually, but is Rock by the Sea. And so down in St. George Island, Florida, is where it started. And it's a music festival that is entirely a charity. So they get, I don't know what the number of bands would be, but maybe like 10 to 20 bands. That's just probably closer to 20 acts throughout a 4-day or like a longer weekend. And they get sponsorships to cover the bands, to get them down there and everything. But the board that runs the event is entirely volunteer. So all the money that the event makes goes to charity. It's primarily pediatric cancer research. It's a great organization that it's really focused on its cause. And even through COVID, they've been doing online things and like distanced events and stuff just to keep some money flowing to these charities and to keep that community active and supported. One of my best friends in the whole wide world, Steve Everett, another singer-songwriter guy that I tour with him often. He's the vice president of the board, and Beth Gosnell is the president, and they're just two incredible human beings. Actually, there should be maybe a short shout out. Gail, who is a longtime member of that community, passed away a couple days ago.
Gail Harkins.
Yeah, so she's Gail is kind of being this right now, and I don't know the details of it. I kind of found out late, but I've been just.
I was just going to talk about Beth, because she was one of 3 people who've been on every single boat, and Gail was one of those people, and she's just the nicest, sweetest person, and so it's an incredible feat to actually be able to go on all trips, because I have a lot of trips that I take every year, and we just went to the SEC basketball tournament. I've been there 13 years in a row. My friend Brent been there like 17 years in a row, and he couldn't make it this year. And then we had a sports trip that was supposed to be our 20th last year. It forget COVID, it didn't happen, so we didn't do it. I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
I didn't get on the first one. I've been on the other 19. So it's just life kind of gets in the way sometimes, no matter how bad you want something. And really, really sad to hear about Gail. I didn't know that, but yeah, Gail is she's the definition of rock boat and what it means to people. And Beth is another one who's been on all of them, and so yeah, doing great things. Sorry to hear about Gail.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I found out late too, but yeah, I think you could almost trace some of that community and that kindness back to her and Beth, because they obviously were part of that kind of, that what do you want to, like the butterfly wing that started that whole surge of kind of a kind, welcoming vibe in that community. And I remember that I first met them after one of my sets on the boat in Bar City, which, for folks not familiar, it's kind of the small venue down in the middle of the boat where a lot of the newer bands get to play. And she and Beth were sitting back at the bar, and I came over, and they just made me feel like an old friend immediately. And that's a good kind of analogy to that whole community, I think.
No, I think you get a lot of, the rock boat has all kinds of people on, all the six men. I've been on rock boat sats. I did back to back. I did the Warp Rewind. I did the Brantley Gilbert also. So I've seen all these different types of crowds and environments and flows within it. And the rock boat has, look, there's good people and bad people on every event. They're not all going to be good, but they're very generous people, and they're very welcoming. Especially if it's your first time on there. The people, I probably met 5 or 6 people before I ever got on a boat.
Yeah.
You just look forward to meeting them. And so it's good to see a lot of the artists be able to interact, and, some of them get bombarded, I'm sure. And, you get a little overzealous fans, and it's gotta, you got to be careful about that, but it's a very welcoming community. And there's a lot of that communities like that all over the place, and a lot of fan clubs like that. So it's good to see, and to be able to have this kind of access to the people who are your favorite artists is, it's great. And you don't have to pay, $300 for a cameo, which is, it's crazy. And people do it also, like $100 to shake your hand for 3 seconds and have a picture. And so, what's the difference between making it big and not? I mean, I play basketball, and I see people who are like, how are these guys not like major stars? Is it just not getting is it timing? Is it not getting, because we talked about this a little bit, but I want some people to hear, out there who are listening. And this is the Wolff Den with JD Eicher, singer-songwriter. He's of Rock Boat fame and JDTV. 20 songs.
He's recording JDTV in there.
He's going to sing some more. But what makes it someone being, big time?
Yeah, well, I guess I should preface this by saying that if I knew for sure, I feel like I'd be further along. But I think honestly, I do spend some time thinking about this, because the difference in like an artist at my level and kind of that next tier up is a very different bank account. It's a very different situation. You have access to a lot of opportunities and things that.
But we talk about it. Is it the bank account before you become?
Yeah, I mean, I think the disparity there is in part, there are a couple things that go into play. I mean, one is relationships and access are the main thing, and the way you get to that is through, I think, incredible luck or the bankroll. So I think that there are some artists that are, I mean, a talent aside, of course you have to be talented, you have to be writing great songs and recording them well, and also the right kind of great song for the era. So like, for example, my music isn't going to play well on top 40 right now, because it's just not the kind of music that you're hearing on top 40. So I'm already, that's a kneecap right away, like I'm not going to do that personally. But like if you got an artist who's got the talent and is making that kind of music and it sounds great, first of all, just to get it to sound great takes a budget, but then that person has to also be able to find the right management. And that manager, he or she has to have the right connections, the right relationships, either with a label or maybe a music attorney who can shop to the right label. And that statement, having the right relationships with those, for the right artist and to find the right artist. And I mean, for that to all happen, that's like winning the lottery right there, I think.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so then you get to a label, and then to get a song into top 40 radio is hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get it in play on a national scale. So, $250,000, $300,000 will get you the right team to push a song to top 40 radio nationally. And then
why we hear so much terrible music out there?
Beg your pardon?
Is that why we hear so much terrible music out there? I'm not kidding.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, if whatever the sound of the age is or sound of the time is a kind of a combination of like whatever is testing really well with young kids. I think, the younger demo and the radio demo. And then also, we're at that scale, a lot of it is the decisions of a few people, really. It's the people at the top of certain labels. It's those producers that work with those artists, of course. But and then what happens, if something's really successful, then the industry tries to kind of latch on and follow that. So it's like a whole ecosystem unto itself. But to even get in the game, you've got to kind of play ball in that way. And I think it's a lot of luck and then money and relationships that kind of coalesce at the right time. So, and that's why I tell myself to keep myself going. I mean, maybe it's just, I'm not good enough, or none of these artists are good enough to get there, but I think there's a little bit more to it.
Yeah. Don't let JD fool you. He's been on some big stages. You played the I Voted Festival, which was a great event. You were in Laura Live or Wonder Bus, one of those. Right?
Laura Live, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You've been up to play in some. It's not that easy to get your name on a festival poster. Who have you played with that you really got excited about? Whether it was on the Rock Boat or at one of these festivals, you didn't necessarily have to play with them, but they were on the same stage as you were where you went and you got to watch them.
Yeah, well, Laura Live was a cool one for that reason because Hozier was the headliner for that event, and I'm a huge fan of his stuff. And I just think he's kind of a good example of an artist that doesn't sound necessarily like the sound of the day. He just really sounds great, and is a great songwriter. Despite it all, he's able to cut through because he's just got this very unique thing. It's kind of unapologetic. I feel like he just sounds like he sounds. And it works because he's great. And so I'm a fan of that kind of thing for sure. So anyway, I'm a fan of him. So that was cool. I think Sheryl Crow was on that year. So was Lake Street Dive, which I just respect them and what they're doing. So that was a fun event. The Rock Boat's always awesome because there's always, some of these legends like, Sister Hazel, Vertical Horizon, some of these older bands that were great when I was growing up that were kind of like the band. And Need to Breathe, I really respect them and their work ethic on the road, and I love a lot of their songs. And back in kind of the earlier years of playing, I got to do a number of either very, very early opening spots or like side stage opening kind of acts. So you were opening, but you were like, a couple hundred yards away from where everyone was. But that included like Coldplay and Maroon 5 and Rod Stewart, some of these bigger names. So those weren't, they sound more glorious than they were, but they were still really fun opportunities. And a lot of times, especially early on, you get paid with a box seat. Mm-hmm. So we play knowing the money wasn't necessarily going to be awesome, but they put us in a really good seat. So so it's almost like educational, you got to play a fun show and then kind of see like, all right, well, if you had all the money in the world for all the lights and all the team and what could you do? And so seeing some of those, and like we did Coldplay, and that's still, at that scale, that's still the greatest show I've ever seen. I mean, like the band or not, like just the production was incredible. They gave everybody who left a CD. I mean, it was just like, I was just in awe. I was like, man, but I mean, that show cost probably more money than I've ever made.
Yeah.
One night, so like it's just a different world, but you learn a lot from getting to do those things. Great.
Shout out to the Boatcast tribe. You've been on the Boatcast. It's a podcast for all things boat. Very cool. So give them a listen on Facebook or wherever podcasts are heard. Talking about the bigger acts, this is something that always gets me lip syncing. It's the lip syncing that goes on. On the Grammys, it was almost embarrassing. Like it's an award show for your music talent, and they're lip syncing. And I'm not going to name names, but it's almost all of them. Yeah, and it's crazy. You wouldn't do that. I can't imagine a Rock Boat, having a lip sync.
I wouldn't do it. I would tell you that this is going to sound like a defense. I don't know if it is or not. Maybe it is. I will say some of those events, it's maybe they have an option, but it's not like sometimes it's more of a technical reason, like like some of these award shows, or like, if you see the floats on Thanksgiving morning and stuff, some of that stuff, like they just can't. They just have to do like some sort of pre-recorded thing, and you got to everyone knows it's kind of fake. But like, yeah, when the big bands that are actually like, I never see them lip syncing. Like I was an intern at one of the big shells in Pittsburgh. It was called Post Gazette Pavilion. I think it's Key Bank Pavilion now, but down in Burgettstown, PA. I was a marketing intern, so I would watch lots of bands and try to figure that stuff out. Like, is this real? But I think at their actual shows, they're always pretty legit. Like I even saw Katy Perry. She played Warped Tour like right when that song "I Kissed a Girl" came out. She was like just finishing up a run at Warped Tour, and like she was definitely live because it wasn't perfect. I mean, she sounded good, but you could tell it was real. But I think when you get to those like TV and like the bigger productions, sometimes
I prefer it not perfect. I think the fans would be okay with that. I mean, even if you watch a JDTV,
yeah, that's certainly not perfect.
Sound issues, you have video issues, but it doesn't really take away from it that much. The audio, if it's going in and out, is different than, hey, this doesn't sound as good without all the technical stuff. Anyway, that's always my rant.
Yeah. Like Kelly Clarkson, I've seen her perform at like, I don't know if it was Grammys or something, and like she wasn't lip syncing, and to hear her nail it, and she's really nailing it. Like when they do actually do it, you're right. You just get a different level of respect, because like then you see the actual talent, and it wasn't like doctored up in a studio after the fact or something. So it'd be great to have more of it for sure. Yeah.
So, COVID it's crazy, the environment that we're in. And I could tell you that last year was a really good year for me, not necessarily financially, but there's a whole host of reasons, which I've said before, it's for a whole nother show. But you have your daughter, Ellie, right? And she's been on part of the show, and picked some videos, and you have a newborn too.
Yeah.
So you get to spend time with your family that you haven't done in God knows how long. So, talk a little bit about what that means to you and how you're taking advantage of that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I've got a 4-year-old is Ellie, and then we just had Jack about 3 months ago. And at the time when COVID hit, we didn't know that Jack was on the way. But I mean, there are definitely some of the silver linings to all this have been that I'm like way more present in Ellie's life, and it's been great. And getting to help my wife with Jack, especially in these early months when, anybody's a parent out there knows it's kind of like just utter chaos. Especially now, I'm learning with 2, it's a whole other world. Someone's screaming all the time around here, and then the other one's maybe vomiting. I don't know, but it's definitely like you're running from one place to another. And so so it's been great in that way, and just selfishly just getting to be around them more is great. The only one who probably didn't make out too well is my wife, because I think she's learning just how annoying I can be. But.
That's my wife too, and having me around. Yeah. Is this what you do all day, every day?
Is that you're saying that's the feedback you're getting?
I'm working. This is work. It's not my fault that I get to do cool things while I'm working, right? Same like you. You get to do some pretty cool stuff while you're working. Speaking of cool stuff, you got some great stuff in the background. What are the albums? What did that mean to you? We're a memorabilia company. What's your favorite memorabilia that you've collected? It doesn't have to be a ticket, or it could be an album, or something maybe you got or bought, or. Yeah.
Well, actually, that's a good question. Maybe my favorite thing is kind of this record collection. My parents, I'm not really a big collector. I don't even really collect guitars. I just have like kind of the essentials for studio recording and stuff. But and I used to collect Star Wars. That's my only real collection thing. But my parents were moving in, I think like right around June this past year. They moved to a smaller spot because they were empty nesting. And my dad had like this classic record collection, like all kinds of stuff. And some of it was stuff that I listened to as a kid, living at home, that I would put on the record player. But they were just trying to downsize their stuff. So he's like, yeah, take anything you want. And I did. I took a ton of stuff. I basically just left my sister actually is still kind of salty about it with me because I took all like the Stones and Beatles stuff. I left her the Motown because I know she likes a lot of that stuff. So we kind of we made a deal in a sense, but apparently I got the better end of it. But anyway, yeah. So I haven't even listened. I guess I'm a little embarrassed to say I haven't listened to all this stuff, but it's around. I have this little ledge down here in the basement, and there's like a record spaced out around all the way around the ledge. And my plan is just to slowly kind of pick them up and put them on and spin them. Because we are in that singles era where you listen to one song at a time. So I think it'll be kind of a good exercise to put the album on and like listen to it through, and also hear the crackle and all that stuff of vinyl. So it's been a fun thing. But there's some good stuff. There's some old Dylan, some Queen, James Taylor. What else? Stones behind me. Some Beatles. There's this Bloomfield Cooper Stills. It's called Super Session. I don't know if it's super well known or not, but I've like burned a hole in that one. I love it. It's just like a blues jam record. Some good stuff.
My friend's a big Pearl Jam fan, and he gets Pearl Jam vinyls all the time. I just ordered my first vinyl. It was part of the Matt Nathanson,
cool.
merch package for his live stream that he did. Love hearing Matt.
He's awesome.
I just love hearing him talk. He would be a good JDTV guest.
Dude, he's hysterical. Yeah.
He's funny as heck.
Yeah.
I'll get you a couple quick fire questions here.
Okay.
Who's your music Mount Rushmore? The four greatest artists / bands.
Wow, that's good.
Greatest out there, and then your four favorite. How about that?
I'm sorry, what was the first part of that?
Four of your favorite, and then four that you think are the best ever. Maybe.
Oh, got it. Okay. Okay. Wow, this is tough. If you had to just pick four heads, I would just choose the Beatles. But four acts, I would say. I'm gonna revise this like 6 times in my head later, But all right, off the cuff, I'd say the Beatles, Queen, Paul Simon, and I want something more contemporary. And I'm gonna give shout out to some indie love, David Gray. I know that's a weird choice, but I want to kind of represent that world of colors.
Where do people like Lady Gaga and Madonna fall? I mean, back in the
For me, I think of them as like athletes more than like artists, and maybe that's not fair, but I feel like Lady Gaga has such a voice that it's hard for me to hear her songs because she's such a great singer. But I don't think of her in the same way. Like I think I listen to her if I want to like feel pumped up or something, but to listen to a Beatles ballad or some like really emotionally complicated song from like the David Gray world or something for me is kind of my bread and butter, I think.
Who's the best? You're in Ohio. Who's the best act not in the Hall of Fame that you're like, how are they not in the Hall of Fame?
It's a good question. I don't really know. I'm not too up on who's in and who isn't in. But I think the ones that I, kind of hold in high regard are all in. I think. Who are some classics that aren't in?
I don't. There was some.
Yeah, I maybe should know.
Weird Al belongs in the Hall of Fame.
You say Weird Al?
I think Weird Al belongs in the Hall of Fame.
I agree with that. That guy's he's an institution.
Crafty with his song, and he's a good singer. I've seen him twice. They're both great performances.
Yeah, and he's also like also somehow like a great advocate of polka music and stuff too. Yeah. He's doing a lot of different things. It's cool.
Anthem Lights does some. Anthem Lights. They do some real good medleys, kind of.
Yeah, I've heard. I think I've heard the name, but I don't know their stuff. Oh.
Yeah. Who would you like to write a song for?
Oh wow, that's interesting. These are good questions. Who would I want to write a song for? Interesting. Man, I would. My mind goes to Coldplay. I kind of have a crush on that band and Chris Martin, and from a recording standpoint, they're like very polarizing group. I know, but like they just always sonically do something fresh every time. Like even when they sound like their old band, they're still like the recording techniques. They just have the budget and the time and the know-how. So it would be cool to write a song for them and see it like actually flesh out with like full production, no holds barred kind of situations.
As a writer, do you ever send your stuff out to people's reps to see if it might be something they're interested in?
Yeah, I did. For a couple of years, I did the songwriter Nashville thing. So I would Yeah, I live in Youngstown, Ohio, but I would drive down for 1 week out of each month, just about, and I would do writing sessions. And the way that works is you get put in a room, maybe at a publishing company or something, with another songwriter, or maybe 2 or 3 other songwriters, but usually just one other. And sometimes you're just meeting them for the first time, and he or she, you're just supposed to like write a song with them. But so I did that, and you do like 2 sessions a day. I would kind of hustle it, so I try to leave with maybe 8 to 10 songs a week when I would do that. And then the idea with those songs is that both songwriters would kind of like share them with their publishing connections, and hopefully, an artist would pick them up, or maybe you could record it for a TV commercial, or, a lot of different avenues. So I've had some luck with the on the TV commercial, and like they call that sync film sync stuff. Some small things have come through like that, like a song in an MTV show or that kind of thing. But no real big artist grabs. Some artists, some other musician friends are playing or have played songs that I've co-written or whatever, but nothing like brag sheet type of stuff. No.
You should reach out to the Key West Songwriter Festival. It's a pretty great event. Have you heard of it?
I have. Yeah, I'd love to play it. I don't know if I know anybody involved with that, but I'd like to. You
can just submit online. So I'll send you the information for that. We wanted you to play one last song, and then you're gonna get everyone off with. We're gonna end it with a surprise. But last question that I ask everyone: you have 24 hours to spend with someone who's living, and you can't be related to them. Who are you gonna pick, and what will you guys do? And I'm gonna be trying to do this, make it happen for one of my guests. So make it a good one.
Oh wow! So really aim high, huh? That's what you're saying.
24 hours. It could be anyone. They have to be alive. You're not related to them. Doesn't have to be a musician. It could be an athlete. It could be a public figure. It could be someone you heard of.
Oh man, I've got a couple going through my head. Oh geez. Okay. Well, I guess on the music front, I'd love to spend a day with Paul Simon. Yeah. I feel like I would be just a bother to him the whole time, but I'd love to just kind of like follow him around and ask him a lot of questions and be like a puppy dog the whole time, and just that kind of thing. That would be fun.
I love Simon. What song? Me and Julio, and
that's a great one.
Call Me Out. Some of my favorites all the time. What would you sing with him?
Well, I mean, I used to know. I used to know that song. We play it as a band. But my favorite Paul Simon song, it's not like a particularly common one, but it's called "The Obvious Child." I love that song. It's like a desert island. It might be my favorite if I had to pick like one song, because it's like happy, but it's still kind of bittersweet, and it's got like, it just has, it's complicated in a good way. You can kind of find whatever your mood is will work with it. I like it. I like it a lot. Nice.
All right, well, let's get a little bit of my song, and then we'll finish with a surprise. And here we go.
Cool. So Matt and I figured out which one he was looking for right before the stream, and it's been a minute since I played this one, so I'm asking for grace. Please don't throw anything at me. Watching. I've gotten stuck in the heart for some luck, but that ain't my scene, no. I'm thinking this time I'll sit by and watch while it comes to me. Good times, you can find me here. You don't need to knock, you just come right in. Last time around, you were in and you were out. So this time, please plan to stay a while. 'Cause I'd like to get to know you. I'd like to get to know you. I'd like to get to know the good thing when it comes to you. I'd like to say I love you. Hear it coming to me from another, and know for sure which word will give it for now. It goes something like that. Why is it always a fight trying to get life to fit the frame? I should be waiting for life before letting it go. Good times, you can find me here. You don't need to knock, you just come right in. Last time around you were in, then you were out. So this time, please plan to stay a while. 'Cause I'd like to get to know you. I'd like to get to know you. I'd like to get to know a good thing when it comes. And I'd like to say I love you. Hear it coming to me from another. And know for sure those words won't ever get worn out. I've been looking for some love to guide me. I've been looking for some love to guide me. I've been looking for some love, and now I'm gonna let it look for me. I've been looking for some love to guide me. I've been looking for some love to guide me. I've been looking for some love, and now I'm gonna let it look for me. Oh, oh.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's that hook that I like. I think that's JD Eicher, singer songwriter. This is a ticket we did for JD. Got his Patreon information on the back, and he's going to sign some of these. So if you decide you want to watch some JDTV or listen to some more of JD's tunes, find him on Spotify. Right, Spotify.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Find you. His Instagram has all kinds of stuff. JDeicher.com/JDTV. If you sign up, we'll get you one of these tickets. And tell everyone how you end your JDTV and why you're about to do what you're about to do.
I love it. Yeah. Well, thanks for asking, Matt. I a long time ago, like two plus years ago, some friends of mine asked if I would officiate their wedding. And I said, I don't think that's a good idea, and I'm not a minister or anything. And they were like, that's okay. You can get online, and for $10, you can become a minister, and we'll foot the bill. And I was like, you know what? $10 is on me. And I did it. But I asked, I was like, can I, how ridiculous do you want this to be? And they were like, pretty ridiculous. You can have license. And I asked again, I was like, you sure? 'Cause I'll do it. But they were pretty insistent. So I mentioned collecting Star Wars, so I'm kind of a Star Wars fan. So I took this book, and then I put the service, I like taped it into the inside of the Star Wars book. So I held it, kind of like an officiant. And then instead of like a traditional sermon, I read some words from William Carroll Smith Jr. You may know him as Will Smith. And so from one of his songs. And then I just kind of thought about that, and I wanted to incorporate that into JDTV, which is a serious journalistic program, and just have like a little fun at the end. So anyway, so I thought I would, for context, share that, and take us back to the very first dramatic lyric reading, if that's okay with you, Matt.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All right, here we go. On your mark, ready, set, let's go. Dance floor pro, I know you know. I go psycho when my new joint hit. I just can't sit. Got to get jiggy with it. That's it. Now, honey, honey, come ride. DKNY all up in my eye. You got a Prada bag with a lot of stuff in it. Give it to your friend. Let's spin. And then I went on to share how, maybe we all need to hand our Prada bag to our friends so that we can really celebrate properly this marriage and this, blah, blah, blah. But that was the beginning of one of the dumbest things I do every week. But I love doing it. It's fun.
I think everyone likes having you do that too. That's how he ends JDTV. That's how we're going to end the Wolff Den today with JD Eicher. JD, always great to talk. I can ask questions here and hear you play, but join JDTV to hear more, and or Spotify. And we look forward to seeing what's next, and actually seeing you in person wherever that is. Rock Boat, Rock by the Sea, Texas, Texafied Jam Fest, wherever it is, somewhere in Youngstown, Ohio. We will see you soon. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate you having me. Thanks, man.